Yes. All right. So, thank you. That was the reaction I was looking for. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for staying awake after lunch. Glad the food coma didn't sit in too much. I was invited here by Smadar to speak to you about something that I've been doing since the moment I started at the Oshman family JCC in Palo Alto 2 years ago, which is breaking glass. Or as my chief marketing officer likes to say, being a bull in a china shop. How many of you have heard of this slogan before? Raise your hand. Have you seen this? Move fast and break things. A slogan coined by Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook. You've all heard of him, right? Essentially what this means is that new tools and new ideas, despite imperfection, are important to roll out quickly. Creation speed is key. So we have to move quickly to roll out new ideas, even if there are some missteps and broken glass along the way. So I came into the JCC and I embraced this motto, but of course with a Jewish slant, because Judaism has broken glass in its history. There's, of course, the idea of the balance of happiness and sadness, like at a wedding. There's the idea of the shattering of idols, the shattering of old ways, like Abraham. There's the idea of the juxtaposition of destruction and creation, like Tzimtzum. So I want to put forward to you the following theory, that for us to make engagement meaningful with this next generation, we have to break some glass. We have to do things differently. We can't continue to engage in the same old way because the results won't be there. So one final metaphor for you. I don't know how many of you know this, have this image in your own country. In case of emergency, Blake, but we're in an emergency situation, and it's time for us to break some glass. By the way, these are the little signs in the hotels and the hospitals and the office buildings above the fire alarms. So, if we're in an emergency situation, it's time for us to break some glass. Let me tell you a quick story. When I started at the JCC 2 years ago, we did something revolutionary. We put iPads in our JCC preschool classrooms. Now, we have the same crazy, neurotic, overprotective Jewish parents that you have. The same parents who read the parenting handbooks that says, no screen time before 3 years old. So what do? We go and put screens in the classrooms. So one day, one of the kids, a 3-year-old boy, comes up to the teacher and he says, I want to know how jelly beans are made. He loves jelly beans and he wants to know how they're made. So he asks the teacher, can we figure out how they're made? And the teacher says to him, well, how do you propose we do that? And the kid looks at her in the eye and says, YouTube. How else? This is Silicon Valley after all, right? So what does she do? She opens the iPad, she opens up YouTube and finds this great video on how jelly beans are made. The kid is ecstatic. He's so happy. He goes home, he tells his mom, he comes back the next day and the teacher says, no, so what do you want to learn about today? And he says, I want to learn how babies are made. Yes, well, fortunately that YouTube channel is blocked at our JCC. I share that story with you because this is a way that we reach somebody by doing something that was a little bit disruptive, a little bit outside the box. We did this by reaching a kid through an iPad, which it turns out these days isn't so out of the ordinary. So I want to share with you now the 4 elements to breaking glass. These are the 4 ideas, these are the 4 things that it takes for you to break some glass at your JCC. Now listen, these are universal elements. I don't want you to tune me out at this point because you go, this is guys just talking Silicon Valley speak. We can't possibly do this in our JCC. These are universal ideas. So you can pick and choose the elements from them that you can adopt to your own JCC. But these are not just unique to crazy Silicon Valley. Okay, element number 1, shut up and listen. We come in thinking we know everything. We know what our people want. We know how to program, so a lot of our programming is from the top down. It's you or your staff saying, this is what we need to provide, and you do a program and you hope they'll come. Well, you know what? Sometimes we need to go out and listen. When I started at the JCC, I had a friend who was buddies with the new chief marketing officer at Starbucks. And when she started at Starbucks as the CMO, Howard Schultz, the CEO, said, this is what you're going to do. For your first 2 weeks in the job, you're going to go and be the barista in a different Starbucks every day. For 2 weeks. He sent her off to be the barista. So I came to my JCC and I said, I'm going to be the barista. And I went and I spent time with our customer service desk. I spent time with the fitness center, the preschool, the camp, the after-school care, the janitorial staff, every single department at my JCC, and I just listened. I asked a lot of questions and I listened. Do you know how much I learned? I learned exactly what our people are thinking because I decided to just listen. So that's rule number 1. We have to shut up and listen. Rule number 2, kill the sacred cows. Oftentimes, sacred cows are very hard to kill. That's why they're sacred, but you have to do it. When we started the JCC, we took our old traditional mission statement and we threw it out the window. And we created a bold, disruptive, innovative brand manifesto. I left a copy on all your tables in case you wanted to look at it more closely. I'm happy to send them to you. This was something that was revolutionary. It says straight out, we are looking to create Judaism 3.0. We built big posters. We put them up at the JCC on the walls. We published full-page ads in the local Jewish paper. We published them in the national magazines. And people said, what are you, crazy? Not everyone who comes to your JCC is Jewish. This is going to cause, and it did. It caused a conversation. Sometimes the programs are sacred cows. Sometimes you say, look, we have to do that. We do it every year. Or sometimes you say, we can't do that. We've never been able to do that at this JCC. You need to rethink that. And sometimes, folks, sometimes the sacred cows are the staff themselves. Sometimes the folks that got your JCC to where it is today may not be the ones to get your JCC to where it needs to be tomorrow. So we need to be willing to kill the sacred cows. Idea number 3, embrace failure. The New York Times calls this the age of failure. The New York Times says that an age of constant invention naturally gets one of constant failure. What that means is it's time to take risks. It's time to do things that we may not ordinarily do. When I started at the JCC, it was a beautiful, beautiful place. Brand new building, state of the art, but it was a little bit cold, a little bit concrete, and it didn't have any grass. So I said, we're going to take our town square and we're going to lay out a big fake grass carpet. It was like, fake grass? This is California. And there was a lot of naysayers. We took a risk. We put out this fake grass, and immediately it became the place for people to have impromptu picnics, for the kids to gather, unofficial gymnastics. I mean, it became that central gathering point because we took a risk. Now, we've also taken risks that have failed. I pushed really hard in the beginning of my time for a teen trip to Israel. I got with Leah Garber and the others, and they said, a lot of these JCCs do wonderful teen trips to Israel. We're going to do a teen trip to Israel. We started branding it. We started marketing it. I started working with the other local JCCs, and it flopped. I had no interest. But we pivoted. We pivoted, and now we are running a family community trip to Israel next summer. So that's what you have to do. Design thinking encourages you to iterate. Okay, we started a farmer's market at the JCC. We had fruit vendors and vegetable vendors, and every Friday afternoon they'd come out and the people would come, and in the spring months it was great, and of course during the winter, colder months, even in California, people stopped coming. And the vendors said, we're not coming back anymore. So we pivoted, and we turned our Friday farmers market to a Fridays at the J. So people come for free bagels and coffee in the morning, and there's a food truck in the afternoon, and there's a bouncy house for kids, and we pivoted. Our newest idea that we're rolling out this month is free membership. Free membership. We're calling it JPass. We're going to the synagogues and saying, if somebody joins your synagogue, offer them free membership to the JCC. If somebody makes a gift to the Federation, free membership to the JCC. They write a check to JFCS, free membership to the JCC. We're giving them all a card. They get to come to us. We capture their data. Aha. It's up to us to push out the information. But then it's a fee-for-service model. It's the old premium model, the freemium model, right? If they want to use the fitness center, they pay. They want to send the kids to the preschool, they pay. They want to use the after-school care, they pay. But they're a member for free. I don't know if it's going to work or not. We could fall flat on our face, but it's worth trying. All right, the last idea is don't take yes for an answer. I know it's counterintuitive, and no, your interpreters are not saying this incorrectly. It's don't take yes for an answer. All right, sometimes we have to be willing to push the envelope. Sometimes we have to be willing to do those things that make us a little bit uncomfortable. When I got to the JCC, we had a lot of debt. So we launched a $54 million capital campaign to pay down debt and to finish the building. And I went to one of the most generous donors in our community, and I asked for a major gift. And she came back and said she would do $1 million. And I had to say no. It's a hard thing to do in your first year on the job with $1 million gift. But I said, look, if you set the bar at $1 million, everyone else is going to key themselves off of you and go lower than that. I said, I need you to do between $5 and $10 million. And she gave a $5 million gift. Sometimes you can't take yes for an answer. We are committed to trying to do Israel programming at our JCC in the Bay Area, as all of you are. So we're putting on a conference coming up called Zionism 3.0 with the Haaretz newspaper. And we are bringing together the far left and the far right, organizations and speakers who would never sit in the same room together. Again, we could fall flat on our face. I don't think it'll happen. I think that we're putting in the right mechanisms to make sure it works. But we're taking a risk. Okay, and we're pushing the envelope farther than anyone thought we needed to. They said, just bring in Jeffrey Goldberg. He's a great speaker. Just bring in Tzipi Chotuveli. She's a great speaker. And we're bringing them all, and we're throwing them in the room together. Okay, that's what it means to break some glass. It's not easy to do. It's going to take a lot of courage. But I'm telling you, for us to reach this next generation, to make Judaism meaningful, relevant, and fun, we have to break some glass. So I hope you'll join me. Break some glass. It's the Jewish thing to do. Thank you.